Welcome to Perception versus Reality, Sports and Culture, where we cover sports from a different angle and bring you topics most podcasts and radio shows will not cover. I'm your host, Rodney870, and welcome my co-hosts, Neely, Mr. Sports IQ, Lemuel, aka Lemwood, and Stanley, known on Instagram as Third World 870. Please enjoy this PvR clip and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Damian Lillard, he made the comment that he wouldn't be like other NBA stars who sold themselves out to win a ring by teaming up with other superstars and other organizations. He's worked pretty hard with the team that he's with, and he want to see it through. And with that being said, I want to play a clip of Damian Lillard, and then we'll discuss if we agree or disagree.
7 years of fighting, trying to get over the hump. And even though it's hard, I don't want to take my position for granted. Obviously, we all play to win the championship. I want to win a championship. I compete to win the championship. When my career is over, I'm going to know the ships that I'm going to have. I'm going to know the people who knew I was solid with them. I took people's situations and their families and what could be into consideration before I just made a decision based off, all right, this is what would be best for me. I do want to win a championship, but it's other stuff that means more to me. Gotcha. It's almost like I'm not willing to sell myself out for that.
Oh, I think it's a gift and a curse. Man, my thing is I think that the players, I think the player empowerment that has come from it is a good thing. But I'm a very big on competing, actually. I like the players to go out and compete and not necessarily have to get players around them or handpick and just play. Like, when Jordan, I hate to bring Jordan up, but when Jordan was with the Bulls, they drafted Pippen. He had to wait for Pippen to develop, and it wasn't like overnight either. It took like 3-4 years for Pippen to even get, he wasn't even at all-star level, but just a sizable role player to be able for them to compete against other teams, and he was patient with that. My biggest thing is that the players, they feel like they have to get a championship, and I don't think that's the case. If Charles Barkley went to the Bulls, Charles Barkley wouldn't have been a better player. He would have won a ring, but he still would have been the same player. Kevin Durant best years was with OKC. He won MVP with OKC. His best year was there. So because he was Golden State, because everybody, and we had brought LeBron up in that original Cleveland team, I think he could have won with that team because he lost to Orlando. Orlando's second best player was T.D. Perfectly.
Yo.
I remember that series. That series, right. That's a winnable series.
But Liam, with those
matchups, they had the super Dwight Howard. That wasn't LeBron's matchup. That's what made it tough.
Yeah, but LeBron was better than Dwight Howard. But then, too, we also bring up the Celtics. The Celtics it wasn't like KG on steroids or Paul Pierce did his thing, but Ray Allen was more of a spot-up shooter. They had roles. It wasn't like this Golden State where all of them are just like.
Right. I agree. This Golden State team, they took it to another level. A super team.
Yeah.
A super team like we've never seen before. But what I would say is this.
And then to make a good point, I'm going to just add this. To make a good point, it wasn't this talk until it started being LeBron. Because all them dudes with the Celtics back in the day, they won 10 rings, 9 rings. Somebody said nothing about that to Jordan when he was winning his. That team. And Neely made a good point. Damian Lillard don't have to worry about this.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody gonna be checking for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Ain't nobody checking for him. So.
And that's the difference. Like you said, if you ask LeBron and KD, who were considered the best players in the league without a ring, it's different pressure. With that said, Neely, do you think that Damian Lillard was off base and the media is just the media hates LeBron and KD so much that they understand what you said, Neely, that Lillard is not in that position because he doesn't have that pressure. Do you think the media kind of played this and took it and ran with it to try to make players like KD and LeBron look bad?
Yeah, I think they'll the media kind of sticks with that narrative anyway, though. Like Lim, mentioned, a lot of people do want the competition. Like, I want to think that it's 8 or 9 or 10 teams that could potentially win it. So I think regardless of Dame, and Dame probably just feels the pressure of, because he feels like he's one of the best players in the league. And Dame feels like, in the series straight up, me and Steph, I could possibly beat Steph in a 7-game series, but I can't beat all of them. So I think he just feels like, he wants to talk down on it because he doesn't have the mentality, or I don't know if ain't nobody really checking for him or what, but he don't have the mentality necessarily to jump on the super team.
He still only have 3 years left on his deal, and he added $30 million to a deal where he had already got guaranteed money from the Steelers. First question, Liam, who won this trade, the Raiders or the Steelers, by getting rid of this money off their books for the next 3 years? And how did Antonio pull off this $30 million guaranteed heist?
Okay, a couple things. So let's go back to the Steelers and Raiders. So the Steelers have dead money on their books. So it's like in a cap, if you trade a player and it has a salary cap hit, you still have to take that against your salary cap. So the Steelers are still paying. It's like they're paying him $21 million, but they're not paying anybody. But it counts against their cap.
Yeah.
So they lost $20 million against the cap there too as well.
Okay.
So to only get third and fifth back, the Raiders won this deal. And you got to think about what the Raiders did. The Raiders they basically traded Amari Cooper for Antonio Brown. They got a first round pick.
Yep.
And all they had to do was third and the fifth.
Yep.
So they, for John Gruden and that staff, they did a
if he get Le'Veon, Liam, and he still got those 3 or 4 first round picks, he gonna look like a genius. Yeah. He gonna look like a genius at the end of the draft. And when you look at it, I don't like the way Antonio Brown did it, but I'm happy for him because this guy was able to get paid. Anybody in the NFL that can get paid and can get their money, like Darrelle Revis, I'm happy for him. Neely, real quick, what do you and Neely, I know you probably have some details you want to share this, but I want to ask you a question. If you're the Steelers and you know Le'Veon is not coming back, do you actually allow Antonio Brown to leave, or do you just bring him back in disgruntled and let him play one more year and then try to get another player? Since you're only getting a third, and a fifth, so do you just bite the bullet and bring him back?
At that point, I think I'm just gonna move on from him, man. Honestly, now I do think I would have definitely tried to leverage it for me to get more back than what I got. Now, if that's just flat out the best offer that they got, period, and they take it, then I think they really just had to take it. But I mean, with the level that he started to take things, I mean, he's going to be, the epitome of a cancer. Like, I don't think him and Big Ben was really going to be able to work together. It was going to slow down probably the progress of Juju. He probably wasn't going to come out there and play at all like Le'Veon had just did it the year before, where he basically said, "I'll forget the money. I'm young enough. I'm still going to sign another deal, and I'm going to get paid."
A lot went on during the combine. We talk about possibilities in NFL draft. So during the NFL combine last week, we had some winners and we had some losers. Some of the winners were DK Metcalf, receiver from Ole Miss. Let's go back to Kyler Murray because some things came out about him after this combine. Teams, all you heard was praise after he measured up, and he's supposed to run a 40 and measure again and do the things at his pro day this coming up week. But some things are said about him not really being great on the whiteboard, him not really, coming off as a leader, not being as as approachable to players and things of that nature, which came off as a negative for some teams. Do you think this was NFL teams trying to push Arizona away from him so he can fall to them and those teams draft him, or do you think this is something that's realistic and would you take him with the first pick overall if he was Arizona, Neely?
I do feel like the information was fabricated though, because I feel like the only real knocks that were on Kyler would have been his measurables. And so since he somewhat basically checked those boxes, he didn't measure out bad as some teams were thinking, then they missed their opportunity for him to kind of fall to him at some sweet spot. So you kind of had to come out with something to get him to fall down to you, and that's kind of his tape and all that is going to show everything. You see he has the arm and all of that.
With him playing at a small school like that, and I'm a scout, I watch Holyfield play with the best of the best. So I can kind of look at his film and say his film is legit. He played against schools where that's as close to the NFL as you're going to get without being in the NFL, even with some of these CFL leagues and stuff. So with Holyfield, I can look at his film and trust his film. With Singletary, I don't know if I could really do that with his film, seeing that he played against lesser competition.
So what you have to do is you have to translate it. You know, you have to translate it. Because a lot of times what happens is you see a lot of players, man, so many players that you see playing, they come from these smaller schools. You know, they come from an Akron. Where did Julian Edelman, Kent State? You know, they come from these smaller schools, but they fit and they translate in the system because everybody has a system.
Thank you for listening to the PvR Sports Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch new episodes and PvR clips. Like our Facebook page and share with your friends if you enjoyed this podcast. As we say in the South, catch you later.